So Pokemon released two brand new EX battle decks this week, and today we're going to be reviewing one of those battle decks, and that is probably the more hyped one. It is the Marnie Rival Battle Deck featuring an illustration rare of Marnie's Morpico, as well as the brand new Marnie's Snarl EX, which was featured in Destined Rivals. This card's actually looking pretty promising, and overall the deck's going to look pretty good. I will flip this over so that way you guys can pause to look at the full deck list, but we're going to go over the deck in detail and we're just going to kind of review the deck. Now, I'm not going to be able to tell you the competitive viability of every card. I'm not a huge competitive player, but we will read all the new Marnie cards and see how good they are, or at least assume how good they are. So let's go ahead and open up this battle deck and see if we can get everything out. So the first thing you get featured in a battle deck is obviously your paper damage counters. These are kind of featured in products, but obviously if you're playing with damage counters, you want to use the dice from Elite Trainer boxes. You also get a playmat. Unfortunately, these are paper playmats. It's cool that they have the zones. They also have some like tips and stuff like that. It does feature Marnie and Grimmsnarl up here in their little like PNG images. And then on the other side, it feels like just an advertisement to go pick up the Steven decks, which we'll review in another video. And then the few other things that you get in here, let's just like most decks, you get a coin. This one features Marnie, and it's actually kind of cute. I like the pink. I think it's a pretty nice coin. And then you get 3 guaranteed cards that are double rare or higher. The first card that we're going to look at is the double rare of Marnie's Grimmsnarl, which I talked about this when I opened up one of my other Destined Rivals product, but we're going to talk about it here in the video because this is the focus on the deck. It has two things that are really key. First and foremost is the Punk Up ability. So basically, when you play this Pokemon from your hand to evolve your Pokemon, you search your deck up for the like up to 5 dark energies, and you attach them to any Marnie's Pokemon in any way you like. So it's a quick way to just build up energy, build real quick. But the Shadow Bullet attack for only 2 energy ain't bad. It does 180 damage, but it does 30 sniping damage to something on the bench. So overall, it's a pretty solid playable card. I actually have 2 of these decks on the way, but I think I'm going to keep one sealed because I really like Marnie as a trainer and Morpico as a Pokemon. But I do think I am going to keep my Marnie's Grimmsnarls because I am thinking about getting back into competitive play a bit. And I'm actually interested in playing this deck. I'm actually willing to give it a try. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and put those in the back on the little stand. And then you get Marnie's Morpico illustration rare. This card's actually centered pretty well. I would have to look for surface damage, but it's a pretty clean card for being in a box. It has Spiky Wheel. It does 40 damage, or 40 more damage for each dark energy attached to this Pokemon. So 20 damage base, but for each dark energy attached, it does 40 more damage. So Marnie's Grimmsnarl, you evolve, you have Morpico on the bench, or Morpico in the active spot, you attach all 5 energies. It doesn't say additional darkness energy, it just says darkness energy. So you're doing 220 damage after evolving Marnie's Grimmsnarl. Marnie's Morpico is not bad to combine with Marnie's Grimmsnarl. It is a single prize attacker, which is also pretty nice because he could do big damage pretty quickly. And overall, it's a pretty solid card. It's also really cool for the collectors. Like, that's definitely, unless it's super gradable, which I'm going to observe when I look at it. Unless it's extremely gradable, that is 100% going in the Dex Binder. Because Marnie's Morpico, you can use common copies. Now we're going to break down what's the rest of the deck. So obviously, you're going to get your plethora of darkness energies. You are going to get a rare candy, which if you guys don't know, is absolutely necessary for your Grimmsnarl. Grimmsnarl is a stage 2. It evolves from Morgrim, who evolves from Impidimp. So we should see those Pokemon in here. Iono is obviously a good trainer to get. Cards readily available, so it's not like this card used to, like when this card released, it was like a $3 card. It's no longer that expensive, but it's still a good card nonetheless. Buddy Poffin, same thing. You got reprinted in Prismatic Evolutions. Now it's under $1 a copy, but it's always nice to get reprints. Like, you could tell that they definitely give us playable trainers. Like, we're not seeing Great Ball and Youngster and Nimona, like a simple draw 3. Spike Moth could be interesting because once during either player's turn, that player may search their deck for Marnie's Pokemon, reveal it, and put it into their hand. So in other words, especially if you're not playing the mirror match, this is just an easy search for you. It's a really good stadium card. Experience share. Obviously, that's good because you're going to be doing a lot of energy turboing with this deck. So being able to shift energy around is pretty nice. Drayton, that's one of those like more generic trainers. Unfortunately, not that great of a trainer. Ultra Ball, always a good staple to see. Our next Marnie's Pokemon is Marnie Scraggy. It does only do crunch for 3 energies, and you discard an energy from your opponent's active Pokemon. Not very good. Discarding energy from your opponent's active is decent, but you're only doing 50 damage and you need 3 energy. That's a pretty high energy cost for a low amount of damage. Then you got Marnie's Impidimp. It's got Filch to draw a card for a single energy, or you could do Corkscrew Punch for 10. Then you get Marnie's Liepard, which has Pointy Claws. It does 70 damage, but if your opponent's active as an EX, it does 70 more. So for 2 energies, you could do 140 EXs. That's not too bad. You do get more Ultra Balls, another Impidimp. You get Switch, which is a decent trainer. Boss's Orders, which is probably always going to be a decent staple to have on hand. Rare Candies once again. There's the Purloin with Pointy Nails. It does an additional 40 for 1 energy to a Pokemon EX. So just like Purloin, just like Liepard, Purloin does the same thing, just on a weaker scale. You got Buddy Poffin again. Very good. Professor's Research, decent draw supporter. I don't see this played as much as it has been historically, but there are many times, especially with how much stuff gets rotated in and out every year, considering that they seem to just pump this out with different professors all the time, I see this kind of seeming like their permanent good draw support, so it's not a bad card. Then there's our regular Morpico. We've already read what this does. We've already read Scraggy, which is unfortunately terrible. But here goes Scrafty. So it has 2 attacks. Rear Kick for 40 for a single energy, and then Wild Tackle for 160 for 3 energy. Does 30 damage to itself. Very generic, not that great. Morgrim, unfortunately, only has an attack that does 60 for 2 energies. Not very strong. And then it looks like we're going to see a lot of cards that we've seen. Super Rod's another good one to get as a reprinted staple. Still very playable. A second Spike Moth, which is always good. So when it comes to this deck, as you could tell, this is also a new card, by the way. Basically, you shuffle 5 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. I definitely can see this deck, especially with turboing energies, playing this for sure. Then you get another Professor's Research, another Boss's Order, more Impidimps, another Poffin, Liepard, and Morgrim. So the way I would build this deck, like, because I firmly believe you could build a solid deck if you bought 2 of these and combined them into one, right? Because you would have a full set of Grimmsnarls if you wanted to play it. You would have a full set of Morpicos if you wanted to splash those in. You would have enough Scrafties and enough Liepards if you wanted to splash that in. But if you wanted to build a deck and play it from scratch, right? Not buy any additional singles, not buy any additional playable cards that you would have to go out and spend money on. Just buy 2 of these decks and build a deck based off of it. What Pokemon would I run? Obviously, I would run our main boy Grimmsnarl, because the deck does not work without him. Then I would run maybe 1 or 2 copies of Morpico. I would run an evolution line of Liepard, since it can still do big damage for a low energy cost to an EX. And I would just kind of run with that. I probably run Scrafty and Scraggy. I do not see Scrafty being a good Pokemon. 160 damage for 3 energy is decent. But I think Liepard or Morpico would be a better opportunity for high damage for a single attacker. Especially Morpico, because Morpico, which I don't know where he's at, he doesn't need to evolve. And he does 40 damage for each darkness energy. So if you play 2 Grimmsnarls in a single turn, you put 10 energies on this guy, he's knocking out anything he swings at, which is really powerful. So overall, I think this deck's a really good, fun deck to open. Unfortunately, the market price on this deck's a little bit above MSRP. I think they're going for about $30 on the open market. But considering that you get a cool little collector's piece with the Marnies Morpico illustration rare, which looks stunning, and then you combine that with the fact that you get not one but two Snarl EX, which are very good Pokemon, I think overall it's a pretty good deck to pick up. So I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10 rating. When it comes to competitive viability, I think if you have other competitive cards that you could definitely make a full constructed deck out of it, I think this is a great 9 out of 10 product. I think out of the box, it's probably about an 8 or maybe a 7 out of 10 in terms of playability. I think you are still missing some good trainers that you would need to really fine tune this deck. I think you're missing some other great support Pokemon that you could splash into the deck to make it really function well. But overall, I think just from scratch, especially if you're getting into the game, if you're not too familiar on how to play, this could be a good deck to start with. So personally, guys, if you're a collector or a player, I would go out and buy this deck and then get 2 of them, combine them together and make you a fun deck to go to your local leagues and your local events and play with some people, make some new friends, and have some fun with the hobby. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review of the Marnie Rival Battle deck. Let me know down in the comment section below what you think of this deck. So far, I've heard nothing but good reviews on this deck outside of myself. So I would love to know your thoughts and opinion. And as always, guys, remember to keep it classy and stay awesome.